Well, good morning, folks. Pastor Rocky Branch coming back at you early in the morning as we go forward in Jesus' name. Today is day 68 of our situation here in Mitchell County, keeping you up to date about what's going on. And if all is well, we'll be a little bit later on back in the church and serving some breakfast. You know, when you think about things that are disastrous, such as what we're experiencing, we've had so many people come and be so kind to us to help in so many different ways. But then you have some people that ask you a question. And one of the questions is it wrong for me to still want to have Christmas? Is it wrong for me to want to give to someone else that has a lot? Is it wrong for me to want to exchange gifts? Or is it wrong for me to want something at Christmas time when so many people have lost everything? Well, that's a good question. I think a question that's probably on a lot of people's minds. There's a few things I think that the Bible gives us sort of as a symbol, a reference, if you will, to what we should do and how we should act. And that, I think, one of those points of reference is in the book of Colossians. In chapter number 3, it says, "If you then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affections on things above, not on the things of the earth. For you are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God." Now, that doesn't mean that you should not take care of yourself. That should not mean that you should not want stuff for yourself. And many people have said to me, we're doing fine. I mean, we didn't even get anything. We weren't even here. I've had people from different states say, we have nothing going on at our place at all. We've come to help here. So they feel bad sometimes because they think about their family at Christmas time or Thanksgiving. We had it at Thanksgiving also. And we have people that are still living in tents. Let me just mention to you some things that will be beneficial to you. Number one, Jesus came to save us. And in the salvation, he came to direct us. And if you and I spend our time trying to follow his example, then we're going to be okay. Okay, then the next question is, okay, what's his example then? Well, Jesus gave, quite obviously, but he also received. Jesus received comfort. He received food. He received things. Jesus was a man that walked the earth just like we are people that walk the earth. It's nothing wrong with you having your Christmas in another state, another area of North Carolina, somewhere in the U.S. Nothing wrong with that at all. Enjoy your family. Just remember in prayer, as Christ would do, the people that are less fortunate or the people that have lost things. Because when you sometimes get caught up in that, you begin to feel guilty if you're having fun or if you're enjoying something. So don't let that be a stumbling block to you. You see, it says here, if you then, this is chapter 3, by the way, of Colossians, if you then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above. Now, all that means is not your will, but God's will. So it is God's will that you take care of your family. It's God's will that you reach out in some charity. It's God's will that you help where you can. It's nothing wrong with you or about you if you have a great Thanksgiving, which we just had, or a Christmas. We do what we can to help other people. That's what we're doing in our church. We're doing what we can. And what we can do is we can offer our church. And that's what we're doing. We're offering our sanctuary. We're offering our Sunday school classes for people to sleep in. We're offering our fellowship hall for people to eat in, and the Baptist mission to set up and take in jobs and all this sort of stuff. So we are using what God gave us because he gave it to us. And it's better used the way that it's being used right now than it's ever been used before. Because sanctuary sat empty all week long, except for a couple times on Sunday and sometimes on Wednesday. They just sat empty. Do you know that there's sanctuaries with thousands of seats that are empty every day of the week because they don't have any Wednesday service because they do it somewhere else, and just the big service on Sunday? Could you think of all the space that's not being used? Well, in our case, our church is being used that way because that's the biggest space that we have, and that's where the need is. There's nothing wrong with that, good or bad. It doesn't mean that you're good or bad if you like it or don't like it. It just means that that's what we had to use. And that is the presence of trying to obey the Lord. So if you live in a different area and you're having Christmas and you put your tree up and you do this and you do that, which is very important to your family, and don't ever think that it's not, because it is. Don't let things, listen carefully, that you cannot control change the things that you can control. I'm going to say that again. Don't let the things that you cannot control change the things that you can control. You see, if you or I sat and we looked at the world, and we looked at I was in Cambodia last year, and a lot of impoverished people in Cambodia. If I sat and considered all the hunger or the challenges or the living conditions that I've seen in my lifetime as a minister, 44 years now, I would never enjoy a moment of life. You see, I can do something to help them. I don't forget them. I pray for them, but I can help them. And then somebody else comes along and helps them also. But then my life should continue. I should continue to do what I normally would do while I'm helping other people. So don't feel guilty or bad if you want to have the Christmas tree and you want to do the Christmas thing and you want to draw names and you want to have your dinner, and don't let that bother you because someone was caught up in the flood and lost this, because that's life. That's what happens in life. You cannot let, here again, you cannot let things that you cannot change the things that you can do something about. So he goes on to say this: set your affection on things above. Now, what does that mean? That means that you want your heart to be in line with God's heart. You want your mind to be in line with God's mind. It doesn't mean that you don't stop living. It means that you don't forget. So when you said it's your Thanksgiving meal, which we just had, or your Christmas meal, or whatever the case may be, or your regular meal, you pray for those people that have lost things, and you do what you can to help. And when you've done what you can to help, they're still going to have trouble because they're in trouble. That's just what happens when trouble comes. But you can help that if you choose to do so. But don't feel guilty because you want to have something in your own life that you enjoy. You see, the devil has lied to us so much and tricked us so much to make us feel guilty about enjoying life when somebody else had a tragedy. Well, we sympathize and sometimes empathize based on, your experience. So we continue to pray and help where we can, but then our life goes on and we have to continue to go on. We can't let those things stop us to the point that we become of no value to what we can do something about. So I hope in some way that answers some questions and helps in some way, because live your life to the fullest, do the best that you can, give God the glory for everything, work where you can through His will and through His mercy and through His grace. And I promise you, it'll be okay, and He will bless you for it. God bless you. We love you. See you soon.